Because I think those types, like what she's building it out of and where she finds it is kind of one of those, when we're talking about that essential idea, like it's all around you.
It's going to lead to that essential idea.
Right.
Don't have to go buy it.
Right.
What kinds of collaborative conversations do you think you're going to use?
I was just going to do that.
Structures. Turn and talks.
I always forget about like the whiteboard thing too. Like they could write it on a whiteboard instead of having to respond in their my thinking afterwards. So I think that like for the first one could just be turn and talk and then like a share out type thing. And then like what does Lisa build her animals out of? That could be done as a whiteboard or a choral response.
Corresponds. Yeah, that makes it cool too. Those white ones. Oh, bless you. Do you have allergies?
No, I just have a cold.
Oh no. So I thought putting those there would remind us of all the possibilities.
When you have other, like, could that be their my thinking and then they come back and share out?
Yep, absolutely. Whatever different ways. I just wanted to prompt some ideas because we tend to forget, like, what about, like, I could have put on there the red, green, yellow cards, or
right.
I forget to use these.
The biggest thing that I'm like struggling with my kids is making sure that they're using part of the question in their answer instead of just finding it and being like, house garbage, town garbage dump. Like how can, and like, that's my biggest thing is when I'm creating the sentence frame with them this last time is I did it with them instead of already having it pre-made.
Oh, I like it.
And asking one of them to create it because those kids that can actually look at the question and pull it out to write out the answer and how important that is so that I know what question you're answering and like what was the purpose of answering that question and just instead of listing.
You could show the kids this video.
Using complete sentences and
show the kids the video.
Because I noticed that about the kids right away is they answered and he didn't put a sentence frame up there but he said, he gave part of the question and the answer.
Just making the sentence to hers. What does Lisa do? Lisa makes art, or Lisa makes whatever. Oh, okay. It's not just art. It's art out of junk. This one.
I think that's.
We're focusing on like the text dependent questions, right?
All of the questions will be. But right now we're focused on key ideas and details.
Yep.
Okay. Or you might throw in an inference one.
I was gonna ask about the inference one.
Like what might it be?
Like when, I mean it's in here but like what, well no, because I guess my question's the heading right there. Like when did she start making animals or like, what happened to cause her to make animals out of junk? They'd have to go and say because they were stuck inside for a snowstorm.
Oh, I like that one. And it's not explicitly stated, it's a little bit implicit, right?
Right, that's what I was wondering.
Do you think that's okay for a phase one, that type of inference one?
I think so.
I think
that's
so too.
What came to mind when you started talking about it.
Yeah, like, because I was like, okay, well, that's the question I'm asking. It is in the text, but like, I want to ask them, like, what caused Lisa to start making animals out of junk?
And that's cause and effect, so.
Yeah, that is cause and effect too.
I will personally.
So that's in
put it
paragraph
phase
3.
2.
You would? Okay.
Yeah, rather than right now, put it like right in the front or.
Well, jot it down and you can see. You know, I can see both ways, really, because you don't want to get too deep in phase one, but it's
it's kind of that one. I mean, I could sit and ask a question under each one of these, and I don't want to be asking like 8,000 questions. No,
exactly.
Because then later you can start asking those more deep understanding questions. Where it's not explicitly in the text, just saying, but then they have to think about it.
What are you thinking, Megan, down in the end?
I was just wondering, would you do all of phase 1 in the same day, or would you break it up?
Like, is it kind of like a phase 1 for first day, then you move on to phase 2 the next?
They're called phases so that it's not about days. And John Paul made it very clear to us that this is a process. It's not a step by step by step by step, but it's a more of a process of thinking. So you can't answer it by saying yes or no to any of that.
So you could end up doing 3 of these questions on the first time, and then you could go back to revisiting a couple of the phase 1s and then move on to phase 2. Right?
Yeah, and what you'll see, we're going to move on to phase 2 right now, but when we watch the video, we'll see that he actually did his phase 2 questions on the same day. So it all depends. So if you just ask a couple phase 1 questions, you might be able to move on to phase 2.
Because sometimes those phase 1s are just really quick, so then do you need,
Yeah, but it's all about being a process. You got the general idea now of phase 1. So we're going to move on to phase 2. How does the text work? I sounded like Alex there from the video. How does the text work? All right.
But she's doing
Watch too many of these. So let's go to my yellow planner and remind ourselves what we did with I Will Fight No More Forever. So if you can find phase 2 planner, how does the text work? I gave an introduction to their close reading task. I wrote, let's reread Chief Joseph's speech to examine the choices he made that contribute to the tone and the message. So, and I listed exactly the questions that I asked you. What does Chief Joseph mean when he says, from where the sun now stands? What is the tone of the speech? What words and phrases support that claim? How does the text structure convey Chief Joseph's mood? And finally, what is it about the use of the word forever in the last line that makes that statement so memorable? So a lot of this one was about crafting. And it may or may not be the case. It sounds like yours is going to be more about structure. Look at the phase 2 guide, my cheat sheet, and just see what I wrote there. Those are based on John Paul. So all of this is explained in chapter 3 of the textbook. So let's open to page 55 of the book. Get out a tab that says phase 2, or whatever you want to call it. When you preview this chapter, notice that they'll talk about vocabulary and then show you questions for K1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then they'll talk about craft, K1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and structure. You're going to preview chapter 3 so you know what's there. And I'm going to start the clock right now.